What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another week of Hero or Zero here on the Heroes for Hire podcast. My name is Shaun Meehan, and joining me, as always, is my partner in crime, Mr. Conor Lawler. Conor, how are you doing?
I'm excited to be here. I can't wait to find out about more DC characters.
Oh, well, do I have bad news for you.
You're going to do a report?
Classic.
Double.
Conor doesn't like my reports. Interesting. Comedy.
Jesus. Okay, right. So we're starting strong here, Shaun.
Well, look, why don't you make it up to me by telling everyone what Hero or Zero is all about?
Hero Zero is the show where one of us picks one comic book character, and normally Shaun does really good reports on Marvel characters, and I do really bad reports on DC characters.
Too late, my friend.
Alright, fuck you. And we just kind of give you a bit of a rundown of everything to do with that character in kind of just an introduction to all these characters, so you can kind of go out and find your own stories that might interest you if you hear something that you like.
Very, very good. Well done. God, we're friends again. I'm happy now.
I'm going to turn on you again soon enough, but for now...
Oh, good. So, what I decided to do, Conor, for my character, I picked a character that is usually portrayed as in part of a duo, but I'm just going to cover one half of that duo this week, and then my next week I'm going to cover the second half of the duo.
Is it Dick or Dom from Dick and Dom in the Bungalow?
It's actually Barry Chuckle I'm covering today.
Fuck! You know what? I would actually listen to a Barry Chuckle Hero Zero.
I'm sure there's a story there to be told.
There has to be. So who are you doing this week?
So I am doing Tyrone Johnson, a.k.a. Cloak.
A Cloak and Dagger. That's
from
all I
Cloak
know.
and Dagger, correct. The Amazon Prime series, correct.
I know very little about these people.
I knew very little as well until I started doing some research, and they're actually quite cool. So, starting off, his early life. So, raised in a poor South Boston neighbourhood, Tyrone Johnson was a good student, despite having a chronic stutter, a disability he struggled to master with the support of his best friend, Billy. So, when Tyrone was 17, he and Billy witnessed the robbery of a local store and the fatal shooting of the store clerk. The thieves fled, and Billy ran as well, fearing that he and Tyrone might be wrongly suspected of the crime. When a policeman ordered Billy to stop, Tyrone tried to proclaim Billy's innocence, but his stuttering made it impossible to speak clearly, and the officer shot Billy dead.
What?
Yeah. Feeling responsible for Billy's death and afraid of the police, Johnson ran away to New York City. So, all his life he was poor, but he was a good student, but he had this stutter to deal with. And he could never fully overcome it, but at least he had a good friend. And so now, all in one night, everything's just ended for him. He's lost his friend, his stutter. In his mind, it's because of his stutter, and he just runs away.
Like, the guilt is confounded with you basically thinking you're inadequate. And that's like the double whammy of you're the reason why your only friend is dead. Oh my god, that is heavy shit.
It's really fucked up, and it's like what I'm going to say next is just bear it in mind for the rest of the report. It nearly consumes him. Good.
Okay.
We have that in. Excellent.
I'm pretty positive that's in. Are you saying he is consumed by this scenario?
You might say it's consuming him.
Oh, interesting.
Now, so he eventually arrives at Manhattan's Port Authority bus terminal, and the penniless Tyrone considered robbing Tandy Bowen, a rich girl who had also just run away from home. But someone else robbed her first, and Tyrone impulsively tackled the thief and returned Tandy's purse to her. So this will come up more in our Dagger episode, but Tandy Bowen does go on to become Dagger.
So it's a guy and a girl.
Yes.
Is it very similar to Hawk and Dove then?
A little bit, and you'll kind of see some elements of that, but Hawk and Dove are very much like they're regular people who are vigilantes, for the most part, right?
Yeah.
The Cloak and Dagger, it takes a bit of a turn.
Oh, okay. One becomes a coat.
It's indeed. So the two teens became very fast friends, and when the naive Tandy accepted an offer of shelter from some strange men, a wary Tyrone went along to protect her. However, the two teens were soon forcibly delivered to criminal chemist Dr. Simon Marshall.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so now this is where they're a team now. They're not superheroes, they're nothing. They're just two homeless people trying to survive. A ragtag duo, correct. Yeah. So, Dr. Simon Marshall was developing a new synthetic drug to replace heroin for the Magia. Now, we all know from the Magia, Marvel wasn't allowed to use Mafia in the comics.
Yeah.
So they just changed one letter.
Stan Lee, you've done it
again. This is Bob Kane levels of creativity.
Bob Kane's like, fuck, I never would have thought of
that. Fucking genius. So he was testing this new drug on runaway teens with fatal results. So he was just finding young vagrants and essentially murdering them. So
fuck.
Tyrone and Tandy somehow survived the injections of the drug, and they fled, along with another prisoner, the Chinese human trafficker who would become Mr. Negative.
I know nothing about Mr. Negative either.
Oh, he's also going to get a report. He's in the Spider-Man game, and he's fantastic.
Oh.
So, during the escape, Tyrone found himself engulfed in darkness and seized by a strange hunger, which only eased in the presence of Tandy, who was glowing with a brilliant light. Trying to hide his newly shadowy appearance in a makeshift cloak, Tyrone began consuming Marshall's thugs into the darkness, while Tandy struck him down with daggers of light.
What? Wait, so his power is darkness?
Yeah. He is. I'll get more into it in the actual power section, but he is a conduit for the dark dimension.
Holy shit!
Yeah, and so the two teens dubbed themselves Cloak and Dagger and declared war on drug crime.
And does he get? Is it a case that he is angrier when he's not in her presence?
Yeah, it's. I'll get into it in the next paragraph. Actually, if you can hold out that long,
I might be able to hold another few seconds. Yes, please continue.
Okay, so Cloak and Dagger started out as merciless vigilantes, killing the Doctor despite the interference of Spider-Man, who only saw the duo as misguided innocents and gradually became their friend. So Spider-Man,
classic Peter
sees the good in everyone.
Yeah.
So he's like, look, you're doing awful things, but I completely understand why you're doing them.
I know you've injected all those people into a dark dimension. Look, I get it. We've all been there. But at the same time, you look pretty sound.
You look like a nice bunch. Especially, I like that cloak.
Very nice. Very in fashion these days. Fair play to you.
So after an ill-fated assassination attempt on the Kingpin, Dagger became less ruthless and tried to steer Cloak in a similar direction. However, Cloak's power compels him to consume living beings, and he found it difficult to follow a gentler path, even though Dagger's light could satisfy his hunger.
Right, so he's like, is it like a cannibal? Not a cannibal, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, he's addicted. And it's like a vampire with blood. Like, he has to have it, but she helps ease some of that need.
Exactly. It's a very similar... if I can use the example of Twilight...
yeah, please, continue.
Speaking my language.
Go on.
The whole thing of that is that they only drink blood from animals. And it doesn't do everything, but it's enough to get by. It's that kind of thing.
Okay.
So, but that... and Dagger's light could only satisfy the hunger temporarily as well.
And
it wasn't a permanent solution.
This is all from a case of just like they've been injected with something and it's just had some weird reactions.
Exactly, yeah. So they learned eventually that they were mutants and that the drug awakened their latent powers.
Oh, right. So they always had it in them somehow.
Exactly, yeah, and it's just, that's how mutants work in Marvel for the most part. That it was always in you, and it manifested at the right time.
Yeah, like if you're in grave danger or something.
Exactly, yeah. There's like this is not like canon or anything, but in my opinion, there's a huge element of just luck in when a mutant or in a mutant even existing, because first the genes have to like alter in just the right way, and then they have to have just the right kind of stimulus to get it activated.
Right. Okay, just enough for a comic book to make some sense.
Exactly. Like, here's the technical reason it happened.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
So, though they tended to target ordinary street criminals, they faced such diverse foes as Doctor Doom, the Beyonder, Vermin, Mephisto, Thanos, the Assembly of Evil, and Lightmaster.
That's a fairly fucking, like, I don't know, that's a powerful group of people to go up against.
Yeah, now they didn't take these on just the two of them. They were in teams
that's fair
and
enough.
such. So Cloak and Dagger, bear in mind as well, they're still like kind of homeless, and they don't really have a home, if you get me. Like, they have nowhere that's like their base. So they finally found sanctuary at the Holy Ghost Church with the sympathetic Father Francis Delgado. But over
Is he
time,
in relation to Daredevil?
I don't actually know, but anytime a priest is mentioned,
Yeah. It's
It's
and
probably
also
safe to assume-
Father Francis.
yeah, that's very true. No, I think it's just a Cloak and Dagger thing that he's nice to them.
Okay.
But over time, Francis Delgado became romantically obsessed with Dagger.
Oh no. Oh no.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, regarding Cloak as a demonic influence, Delgado tried and failed to split up the duo, going mad in the process.
Going mad.
Yeah, he was so frustrated he went mad.
Oh god. You know when you just try, you just can't do it. Oh, better go kill some people.
Sorry. Just, you're very relatable there.
Thanks.
So, after Delgado was institutionalised, Cloak and Dagger found a new mentor in Tandy's uncle, Father Michael Bowen. Tandy's father, meanwhile, had become a cult leader as the Lord of Light in India.
Right, okay. And is he using her as like his greatest protege kind of thing?
There's a certain element of that, because he has become what's called a light vampire.
Fucking hell. Right.
This is where everything's about to get real fucking crazy, okay?
Right.
So he's a light vampire who fed on others' life force. He clashed with Cloak and Dagger until he realised what he had become and tried to atone by hurling himself into Cloak's ebony abyss.
Right, okay.
So he realises he's become a monster, and so he jumps into the dark dimension through Cloak.
That's and how does it work through Cloak? Does he just make a big like portal?
So the way Cloak's power works is that he is a conduit for the dark dimension, right? That's just who he is, and the cloak contains it.
He's wearing an actual cloak, like.
Yeah, he's wearing an actual cloak. And
okay.
He, like, from a distance, it would just look like, it's a dark, shadowy figure under the cloak, but it's actually a portal, and it's Cloak, and it's sentient. It's weird.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
So there's, there's a being called Predator in the dark dimension.
I've seen the movies, yeah, I know all about him.
I knew you'd do this. You see.
He's always against those alien boys.
But
he hates Adrian Brody.
Who doesn't? Nah, it seems alright.
He seems pretty good.
But the Predator is the actual... He controls every element of the dark dimension. And so...
Right.
The hunger that Cloak feels is because Predator wants to feed off of people's life force. So Predator is always influencing Cloak to try and bring people into the dark dimension so Predator can eat them, essentially.
Okay, he's like a combination of Raven and Ragman. Have you seen Arrow's Ragman?
I think I dropped off.
He captures the souls of people in his rags.
Oh.
But and Raven, of course, is connected to the dark being, and she uses that energy through her in the Teen Titans or whatever. But like a combination of the two, where she's led by an evil god that's sending dark mystical energies, and then they capture people's souls.
Similar to that, yeah. Like it's an outside influence that makes him do bad things sometimes.
Right. Okay. And so he can't control that.
No. Actually, here's a good paragraph.
Okay.
So Cloak continued to struggle with his power and the hungry Predator within his darkness. During a period when Cloak swore off consuming living beings, the Predator released the spirit of legendary killer Jack the Ripper to torment Cloak.
What?
However, yeah, Jack the Ripper was also in the dark dimension, and he was released.
It's all fun and games until Jack the Ripper turns up.
Just casually release Jack the Ripper.
Oh no, he's out again! Who, Jack the Ripper?
You know him, famous murderer,
famous time traveller Jack the Ripper.
However, when Jack betrayed the Predator in search of personal power, Cloak absorbed the madman, and the Predator consumed Jack again. Huh?
Right, okay, so you're trying to tell me that Jack the Ripper isn't trustworthy, one, which I want to fucking refute, to be honest with you, and two, who would be shocked? Jack the Ripper's turned on us. Who could have predicted? And number two, so he then sucked Jack the Ripper back into the dimension, and the Predator ate Jack the Ripper again.
Yeah, but it also achieved the goal of, like, Cloak has now absorbed someone into the dark dimension, so he made him break his oath.
Okay, fair enough.
Bear in mind, all the time that Cloak is like a hero, he still has the stammer.
Okay, so is it like, so Dagger does a lot of the talking, I'm assuming?
A lot of that, yeah, and but like when Cloak speaks, he really, like, he means everything he says, if that makes sense. I thought that was an interesting bit of character building.
Absolutely.
So, the drug-dealing crime boss Ecstasy stole Cloak's powers for herself.
I wonder what drugs she was dealing.
Heroin.
Heroin? Yeah.
Working for the Magia, actually.
The Magia.
She was able to steal the powers because the Predator preferred her, as she was more ruthless as a host body.
So the Predator is like sentient of who he wants his powers to be there with.
Oh yeah, like he'll choose a conduit in a lot of the time.
Okay.
So Cloak regained his powers thanks in part to Doctor Strange. When the Dream Demon Nightmare targeted Cloak, who I think we've talked about Nightmare in the past.
A tiny bit, I think, not too much, but yeah, a little bit.
I think it was in the Sleepwalker episode we talked about. So the Dream Demon Nightmare targeted Cloak, and Tyrone prevailed with the aid of Doctor Strange and Dagger, who managed to fully nullify Cloak's darkness altogether for a time. However, Tyrone feared that Dagger could only relate to him as Cloak, and he was soon manipulated into reclaiming his dark powers by the malevolent mystic Mr. Jip.
Right. So what's happened there is a classic comic book thing where they healed him, and then somebody came in and were like, he's actually more fucking interested if we give him back the powers that are dark. That's
true. And he gave up the powers he was afraid that Dagger could only relate to him as Cloak. He didn't want to lose Dagger by being Tyrone, so he got the powers back. Okay. But Tyrone's willing resumption of his cloak estranged Dagger.
Oh, it's had the opposite effect. Oh no.
who briefly worked with the Black Cat before going back to Cloak.
You absolute fucking bitch.
Wow. Now, Cloak, in this time, had tried and failed to find a new partner in Dazzler.
The Dazzler? Yeah. Oh, no.
I'm going to do a report on Dazzler sometime. Dazzler might be my favourite character.
Not the Dazzler. Like, you know when you're looking for a team that... Like, they've clearly had a breakup, and he's lost the breakup. If she's going around with Black Cat, and he's got fucking Dazzler...
Look, he just thought, oh, light. I need light, otherwise I'm going to go insane.
Yeah.
So, time and time again, Cloak and Dagger would thwart Jip's plots. Mr. Jip's plots, the malevolent mystic. Now, and they're still there was a time in comics they switched powers. Like, Cloak got Dagger's powers and Dagger got Cloak's powers.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, but then, you know, a new writer came in, so now it's back to normal, I believe.
But that would be a good concept, because, like, mentally they would have completely different mindsets.
Exactly, yeah, and they've lived different lives very much. Like, this is what's so cool, because Cloak and Dagger, on paper, are polar opposites in every way, but they're the best of friends. So the way they switch powers is, do you remember Mr. Negative, who I mentioned earlier?
Yes.
He escaped with them. He actually had the power to switch their powers. So
and
now
did he?
He did, yeah. Like, that's how it happened. So
yeah, okay.
Just now they're polar opposites, but now they have both had the same power and know what it's like.
Know what the other person is thinking. So even though they're polar opposites, they're also completely aware of what the other person... there's empathy there.
Exactly, yeah. So, like, they just work so well as a team.
Interesting.
So on to his powers and abilities then. He's a dark force conduit. So, as a result of his exposure to an experimental drug, Cloak's body is a portal to the dark force dimension, a world of strange ebony energy. Cloak is linked to a pocket realm of that dimension dominated by the Predator, which compels Cloak to absorb the life forces of other beings, but Dagger's light can temporarily satisfy this craving. Dark Force channeling. He can channel the Dark Force to create a field of darkness in his general vicinity. People enveloped by Cloak's darkness feel numbing cold and experience terrifying visions of their own greatest fears and nightmares.
Holy shit. Oh my god, he would be an amazing villain.
He really would, but he's just such a nice man.
Yeah.
So overexposure to the darkness can drive people insane. Unprotected victims trapped in Cloak's dark realm are gradually drained of their life force and die unless Cloak releases them.
Fucking hell.
Dagger's light renders her largely immune to Cloak's darkness, and she can extend her light to protect others within Cloak's darkness if need be. He has Dark Force teleportation, so he can teleport by entering the Dark Force dimension, moving a short distance, and emerging back on Earth a great distance from his point of origin. So he can traverse...
he can transport like large amounts of space.
Yeah, so he can cover miles by taking a few steps in the Dark Force.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And usually he is intangible, so things can pass through him. Though he can solidify himself through an act of will or by absorbing enough light to temporarily make himself solid.
So is he alive, technically?
He is, because like it's so like he's still Cloak, he's still Tyrone at the end of the day, but
okay,
like he is intangible, but in the same way that the only example I can think of is Spiders Man
or Sue Storm.
Yeah, similar to that. Like their form changes, but they're still. They're like their consciousness remains, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah.
It's life, but not as we know it. That kind of thing. So just on to his Marvel 1 to 7 rating system. Then has an intelligence of 3, strength of 3, speed is 2, but it's really 7 because he can teleport.
That's pretty fast.
Yeah. Durability of 5, energy projection of 3, and fighting skills of 2.
Durability of 5, it would take a lot to fucking get rid of him.
Yeah, like, he's really more a risk to himself in a lot of cases because he deals with a demon on a daily basis.
And also, he doesn't work alone, so anything that he has there that's a 2, like if Dagger has a 3 or a 4, they're able to balance each other out.
Exactly, yeah, like they're such a good match for each other. And like it's literally like it's black and white, it's light and dark. That's their whole thing.
And I think that's really interesting, just as a character, as duo. But I mean, obviously, it's a long way to get there in terms of like they had to be injected, and they have they're mutants. But then also there's a predator that runs the Dark Universe who's been delighted to have him involved. That's the whole thing. But just as a character himself, like what got him there is very interesting.
Exactly. I'm definitely going to give the Cloak and Dagger series a watch before it's removed from the internet forever.
It would be interesting to see how they do it.
Yeah, because now throughout the comics they go back and forth on whether they're mutants or not. So I imagine they're not mutants in the series, but I don't think it matters really.
No, I don't think that's. I think that's just something that they use to connect it into the rest of the Marvel universe.
Exactly. So now they can meet the X-Men and things like that.
Yeah. I think that was a very good report, Sean.
Thank you very much, Connor. Look forward to part 2 in 2 weeks.
I can't wait. So I can take us out. So if you would like to support the show, we do have a Patreon. It's patreon.com/Heroes for Hire podcast. And the link is down below if you want to give us support. We do an extra episode called The Lazarus Pit every single month, and it's when we go back and review an old movie. So this last month's movie was X-Men First Class, and the month before that was Star Wars Phantom Menace. And so we kind of just go back and review old movies that maybe you haven't heard of in a while, see if they still hold up. If you don't want to do that, you can also support the show just by giving us a follow or a like on iTunes. That would be great. Just a review would be really good. It helps the algorithms or whatever it is. We're on Twitter, Here's for Hire Pod, the 4 is the number 4. Facebook, Here's for Hire Podcast. Instagram, Here's for Hire Podcast. And most importantly, just tell one human being that we exist. And
just the one.
I have been Conor Lawler.
I've been Shaun Meighan.
And we'll see you next week, guys.
Bye.
Bye.